Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Mia. Today, we're diving into a topic that most parents and teachers can relate to at the school parent-teacher meeting.
Exactly. Parent-teacher meetings might sound ordinary, but the conversations that happen there shape the way children grow, learn, and sometimes even how they see themselves.
Yes, and today we'll talk through experiences, challenges, emotions, and the small but powerful lessons these meetings teach us. We'll break it down like a real conversation, a bit of storytelling, some reflection, and a lot of honesty.
Perfect. So let's get started. Mia, do you remember your very first parent-teacher meeting as a parent? What was the biggest surprise for you?
Oh, I remember it so clearly. I went in thinking it would be just a formality, shake hands with the teacher, hear your child is doing fine, and then leave. But what surprised me was how detailed everything was. The teacher had notes on my child's academics, behavior, social interactions, even little quirks. It felt like she had a 360-degree view of my child's life at school.
That's interesting. For me, it was realizing how carefully teachers choose their words. Every comment they made was considered, almost like they knew parents would carry those words home for weeks. And then there's the silent part. The things left unsaid that you still pick up on, like a raised eyebrow or a pause.
Exactly. And then there's the group dynamic. You're sitting in a waiting area with other parents. Everyone is nervous. Everyone is curious about what will be said about their child. And suddenly you feel this sense of community, like you're not alone in this journey of raising kids.
Yes, but it also brings comparison, right? Parents asking each other, "How is your kid doing in math?" "Oh, mine is struggling with reading." That comparison game can sometimes create unnecessary pressure.
Absolutely. But if you look at it positively, those exchanges also open doors. I've learned about new study routines, after-school programs, even parenting techniques from other parents in those waiting rooms.
That's a great point. Okay, let's break it down. If we imagine the ideal parent-teacher meeting, what are the top 3 things it should cover?
Number 1. The child's overall progress, not just academics, but social skills, emotional well-being, friendships, participation. Number 2. Clear goals for improvement, concrete steps the child and parents can take. And number 3. A communication plan. How will teacher and parents stay in touch, and when will they follow up?
I like that. I'd add a 4th, empathy and confidentiality. When teachers deliver feedback, the tone matters just as much as the content. If the message is framed positively, parents don't get defensive.
So true. Defensiveness is common, especially when it's about behavior. If a teacher says, "Your child is disruptive," that's hard to hear. But if they say, "Your child has great energy, and we're working on channeling it productively," parents respond differently.
Exactly. Now let's try a scenario. Suppose there's a student. Let's call him Arjun. His grades in math are falling, and his homework is often incomplete. The teacher calls his parents in. What should the parent expect, and what should the teacher's approach be?
From the parent's perspective, the most important thing is to stay calm and ask specific questions. Like, when did you start noticing this? Is it only math or across subjects? Does he struggle with focus, or is it a time management issue? Parents should resist the urge to jump straight to blame.
Yes, and from the teacher's side, the approach should be constructive. Instead of saying, Arjun is lazy, it's better to say, Arjun seems to struggle with homework consistency. Here are a few strategies we might try, like breaking assignments into smaller chunks or using visual aids.
That's a great way to frame it. And parents can add value by sharing insights from home. For example, maybe Arjun has been distracted by a new sibling, or maybe he feels insecure in math because of a tough test experience. That context helps the teacher tailor their support.
Exactly. The partnership model. Teacher brings school perspective, parents bring home perspective, and together they create a plan.
But here's the challenge. Many parents either get overly defensive or overly passive. Some parents will say, "No, my child doesn't do that at home, so you must be wrong." Others will just nod at everything without asking questions, and then nothing changes at home.
Yes, the middle ground is best, being open to feedback but also actively engaging in the conversation. Ask for examples, ask for suggestions.
And also, follow up. One of the most valuable things a parent can do is to write down the teacher's suggestions and then actually check back in after a few weeks. Teachers really appreciate when parents come back and say, "We tried the reading routine you suggested and it worked."
That's such an important point, because otherwise, parent-teacher meetings can become a yearly ritual instead of a meaningful partnership.
Exactly. Do you remember a time when you left a parent-teacher meeting feeling really encouraged?
Yes. Once my daughter's teacher said she's not the loudest in the room, but when she speaks, everyone listens. She has leadership potential. That line stayed with me. It wasn't just about academics, it was about character. I realized the teacher saw something in her that I had overlooked at home.
Wow, that's powerful. And that's the beauty of these meetings. Sometimes teachers notice strengths we don't see as parents because we're so focused on grades and routines.
Exactly. And sometimes the reverse is true too. Parents notice strengths at home that don't show up in school, which is why dialogue matters so much.
Yes! Okay, let's shift gears. Imagine a more difficult scenario. The teacher says, "Your child has trouble paying attention in class." How should parents handle that?
Well, the instinct is to feel embarrassed or even angry. But the smarter way is to treat it like data, not judgment. Ask, when exactly does my child lose focus? Is it during long lectures, group work, or independent tasks? That way, you can pinpoint patterns.
Right. And then ask, What strategies have you tried in class and how can we reinforce them at home? That creates consistency. Maybe the teacher uses visual cues, or seating changes, or short breaks. Parents can mirror some of that at home during study time.
Exactly. And if attention struggles persist across settings, it might be time to consider an evaluation for learning differences. But that's a longer conversation, handled delicately.
Yes, and that's another place where parent-teacher trust is essential. If parents trust that teachers care, they'll be more open to difficult conversations about things like ADHD or learning challenges.
Absolutely. Trust is the foundation. Without it, meetings become defensive battles instead of collaborative planning sessions. All right, Mia, in part one, we talked about the structure of a good parent-teacher meeting and how to handle feedback. For part two, let's go a bit deeper into the emotions of these meetings. What do you think parents feel the most? Nervousness, pride, anxiety?
Oh, that's a good one. I'd say the dominant emotion is anxiety. Parents walk in hoping for good news but also bracing themselves for criticism. It feels like a performance review, but for your child, and indirectly for you as a parent.
Exactly. It's like parents think, if my child is struggling, does that mean I failed? But that's not true. The meeting should be about growth, not blame.
Yes! And then there's pride. Even small compliments make parents glow. I remember once my son's teacher said, "He helps other kids without being asked." That one line made my whole week.
That's so relatable. And it shows how much power teachers' words carry. A single comment can either lift a parent's spirit or weigh them down with worry.
That's why teachers also need training on how to deliver feedback. The balance between positive reinforcement and constructive criticism is delicate.
Right. Too much positivity without substance feels fake, and too much criticism feels crushing. Parents walk away either confused or discouraged.
I think a 3-to-1 ratio works well. 3 positive observations for every constructive one. That way, parents know their child's strengths are seen, while still recognizing areas to work on.
That's brilliant. And the strengths give parents the motivation to actually work on weaknesses.
Exactly. Now, let's dive into another scenario. Imagine a child named Sarah. She's bright in class, always finishes work, but she's shy and doesn't participate in discussions. How should that be addressed?
Well, from the teacher's side, I'd say something like, Sarah shows strong understanding in her written work, but she's hesitant to speak up. I'd like to encourage her confidence by giving her small chances to share. That frames it as a skill-building opportunity.
And from the parent's perspective, the question is, how do we support that at home? Maybe role-play discussions or encourage her to share her opinion at dinner. Parents can create safe spaces where children practice speaking without fear.
Yes, because sometimes shyness isn't a weakness. It's just a different style. But helping kids find their voice is still important.
Right! And teachers need to recognize that quiet doesn't equal disengaged. Some of the best thinkers are the quietest in the room.
Absolutely. Now, let's flip the scenario. Suppose a child is overly talkative, constantly chatting, distracting others. How should that be handled?
That's tricky. If a teacher just says your child talks too much, parents feel embarrassed. But if the teacher says your child is very social and expressive and we're working on helping him balance that energy in class, it feels different.
Yes, and then the discussion can focus on strategies, seating arrangements, giving the child leadership roles so that energy becomes productive.
Parents can also help by teaching self-regulation skills at home, like practicing when it's time to speak and when it's time to listen.
Exactly. It's not about silencing the child, but guiding the energy.
Yes, and that's why I love when teachers give specific examples. During group work, he dominates the conversation is more useful than he talks too much.
So true. Specific feedback equals actionable steps.
Let me share a personal story. Once my daughter's teacher told me she often daydreams in class. At first, I panicked, but then the teacher added, "When she's engaged, her creativity shines." She wrote a story that amazed me. That balance helped me see daydreaming not just as a problem, but as a sign of imagination.
That's beautiful, and it shows the importance of framing. If it had just been she daydreams, you'd have left worried, but paired with strengths, it becomes constructive.
Exactly! Teachers have the power to shape not just children's learning, but parents' mindset too.
That's such a big point. Okay, let's zoom out. Do you think parent-teacher meetings should happen more often than once or twice a year? Sıfırıdas kunidit.
Honestly, yes, twice a year isn't enough. Kids change so quickly. I think quarterly meetings, or even shorter monthly check-ins, would be ideal. They don't have to be long, but regular communication keeps everyone aligned.
I agree, and technology helps here. Even a quick video call or progress email can bridge the gap. It doesn't always have to be face-to-face in school.
Yes! Some schools have parent apps now where teachers upload updates, assignments, even behavioral notes. It reduces the surprise factor at meetings.
That's good, because one of the worst feelings is walking into a meeting and hearing a major issue for the first time.
Exactly. No parent likes being blindsided. If there's an issue, teachers should flag it early.
And parents too. If something big is happening at home, they should let the teacher know, like a family move, illness, or divorce. Those things affect a child's classroom behavior. That's all.
Yes! I remember once I told my son's teacher about a family emergency and she was so understanding. She gave him extra time on assignments and checked in with him emotionally. That kind of partnership makes a huge difference.
That's beautiful. And it highlights something we don't talk about enough. Empathy goes both ways. Parents need empathy for teachers too.
Oh, yes, teachers manage 20 to 30 kids every day. That's like juggling 30 personalities, 30 learning styles, and 30 sets of parental expectations. It's not easy.
Exactly. So when parents go into a meeting ready to attack, it creates a wall. But if they approach with empathy, it opens dialogue.
Right. And empathy also means acknowledging the teacher's hard work. A simple thank you for all you do can really uplift them.
Yes, because teaching isn't just a job, it's an emotional investment.
Exactly. Okay, let's touch on another angle. Cultural differences in parent-teacher meetings. Some cultures are very direct, others are more reserved. Have you noticed that?
Definitely. In some cultures, questioning the teacher is normal. Parents expect to challenge and negotiate. In others, parents stay quiet out of respect, even if they have concerns.
Right! And teachers need to be culturally sensitive. If a parent seems quiet, it doesn't always mean they agree. They may just be hesitant to speak up.
That's why it helps if teachers invite parents directly. Do you have any concerns? Is there something you see at home that we should know?
Yes, that open invitation makes a huge difference. Earl.
And for parents, it's important to remember that speaking up respectfully is not being rude. It's being a partner, though.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, the goal is the same, helping the child succeed.
That's the golden thread through all of this. Okay, Mia, we've covered a lot so far, from handling feedback, emotions, difficult scenarios, and even cultural differences. For this last part, let's go into some bigger picture reflections. What do parent-teacher meetings really mean for the long-term growth of children?
That's such a great closing question. For me, the heart of it is communication. Parent-teacher meetings create a bridge between home and school. Without that bridge, kids can easily fall through the cracks. With it, kids get consistent guidance from both sides.
Yes, and I think they also model something important for children: collaboration. When kids see their parents and teachers working together, it shows them that learning isn't just an individual effort, it's a community effort.
Exactly. And that community aspect builds resilience. A child might struggle in one area, but if parents and teachers share ideas, kids don't feel alone. They see adults as a united team.
That's powerful. Do you think children should actually attend parent-teacher meetings sometimes?
Good question. I think for younger kids, it's better if parents and teachers talk privately, but for older kids, maybe middle school and high school, it's very useful to involve them. It gives them ownership of their learning.
Yes, I agree. Imagine a 14-year-old hearing their teacher say, "You're doing great in science, but let's work on time management." That hits differently when they're in the room. It's not just mom or dad nagging, it's feedback from another respected adult.
Exactly. And they can respond too. Sometimes kids explain things that neither parents nor teachers realized, like, "I struggle in math because I can't see the board clearly." Suddenly, you discover the child just needs glasses.
Wow, yes, and that shows why it's important to include the child's voice, because often we talk about them without talking with them.
Right. And when they're part of the conversation, they also learn accountability. They can't just blame the teacher or the parent. They see their own role.
That's a great point. Now, let's talk about preparation. Should parents prepare before a parent-teacher meeting? Oink.
Absolutely. Parents should go in with notes. What are their concerns? What progress have they noticed at home? Are there specific questions? Otherwise, you walk out realizing you forgot to ask something important.
Yes, it's like going to the doctor. You don't just walk in saying everything's fine. You bring your symptoms, your questions, your observations.
Exactly. And preparation shows respect for the teacher's time. Meetings are usually short, 10 to 20 minutes. Using that time effectively matters.
That's true. And teachers should prepare too. Not just report cards, but real examples, assignments, class participation notes, stories that illustrate the child's behavior.
Yes, nothing is more frustrating for a parent than vague comments like he needs to focus more. Parents want specifics.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode.
We've talked about the nerves, the joys, the challenges, and the opportunities hidden inside every parent-teacher meeting.
And we hope this conversation gave you not just insights, but also practical takeaways. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, or even a student listening in.
Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about partnership.
Absolutely. So next time you walk into that school corridor waiting to sit down with a teacher, take a deep breath, go in with openness, empathy, and the belief that together you can help your child thrive.
Beautifully said, Alex.
Thank you, Mia, and thank you to all our listeners for joining us.
Until next time, this is Mia.
And this is Alex.
Signing off from today's podcast. Take care and keep building those bridges. Ay, makimos.